From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be heard on shortwave broadcast through the shortwave facilities of the United States Agency for Global Media or Voice of America on the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. I'm your host, Leo Magpayo, and this is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. reaffirmed the government's full support for Philippine sports as the 2026 Palarong Pambansa opened Sunday in Agusan del Sur Province. Speaking through Special Assistant to the President Antonio Ernesto Lagdameo Jr., the President said the administration is strengthening school sports clubs and widening access to organized sports to help develop discipline, teamwork, and confidence among the youth. Carrying the theme, Unlocking the Future Through Sports, this year's Palaro gathered 10,718 student athletes from 18 regions, filling the newly refurbished Lipos Macapandong Democrito o Plaza Sports Complex in Prosperidad for the start of the 8-day games. The President highlighted ongoing sports development efforts, including the nationwide expansion of school sports clubs and the distribution of sports equipment to more than 6,000 schools from 2022 to 2025. He also underscored the Department of Education, or DepEd, and Philippine Sports Commission, or PSC, Grassroots to Gold program designed to guide young athletes from school competitions to international arenas. President Marcos cited recent victories of Filipino student athletes from 43 medals in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN School Games in Brunei to podium finishes in Taekwondo, World Youth Table Tennis, and regional swimming meets, saying these prove Filipinos can excel globally when given proper support. The chief executive urged all participants to compete with honor and humility, reminding them that every match is a chance to learn and inspire.
Sa mga batang atletang kalahok ng 2026 Palarong Pambansa, malugod ko kayong binabati. Alam ko sa pagsali sa palarong ito, bit-bit ninyo ang pangalan ng inyong paaralan at rehiyon. Ngunit bukod pa riyan, dala ninyo rin ang pangarap at inspirasyon ng inyong kapambatang atleta. Kaya para sa inyo at sa ibang batang atleta, patuloy ang pamahalaan sa pagsuporta sa inyong pagsasanay sa larangan ng palakasan. Masaya akong ibalita sa inyo sa kauna-unahang pagkakataon, maglalaan ang Philippine Sports Commission ng mga incentive para sa mga medalista sa regular sports at sa para games bilang pagkikilala sa inyong husay. Alam ko na gagawin ninyo ang lahat ng inyong makakaya, ngunit huwag ninyong kalimutan mag-enjoy na rin. Marami kayong matututunan sa palarong ito na madadala ninyo kahit saan man kayo magpunta. Dito ninyo matututunan ang disiplina, tiyaga, respeto at malasakit sa kapwa. Lagi ninyong isipin na kami ay susuporta sa inyo, kasama ng inyong mga magulang, mahal sa buhay, guro at mga coach. Dalangin ko ang inyong tagumpay sa paligsahang ito. Daghang salamat. Mabuhay ang ating mga atleta. Mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
A total of 1,559 teachers and school heads in the Caraga region have received long-awaited promotions under President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s expanded Career Progression or ECP system. The mass oath-taking was held Sunday at the Agusan Valley Convention Center in Agusan del Sur, honoring educators who have served the public school system for decades. In his remarks delivered by Special Assistant to the President, Anton Lagdameo Jr., President Marcos reaffirmed his pledge that no public school teacher should retire as Teacher 1, saying the ECP system now provides a clear and fair pathway for career advancement. Among the promotees are 23 of Caraga's longest-serving educators, some with up to 39 years in service, and 91 teachers and aged 55 to 64 who were finally promoted from Teacher 1 after years of waiting. Established through Executive Order 174, the ECP system allows teachers to move up in rank and salary through either classroom or administrative tracks without relying on plantilla vacancies. Since August 2025, nearly 80,000 teachers and school heads nationwide have benefited from the program. The President also announced major strides in addressing the country's teaching backlog, with nearly 33,000 new teaching positions approved this year and more than 60,000 already filled as of April 30th, equivalent to a 97.7% completion rate. He vowed to reach 100% soon. President Marcos highlighted additional reforms to ease teachers' workload and improve welfare, including hiring administrative and project development officers, granting 30 days of uninterrupted annual vacation service credits, providing a 10,000 peso teaching allowance, and expanding the special hardship allowance for those serving in remote areas. Expressing gratitude to educators, the Chief Executive assured them of sustained government support.
Simula noong Agosto 2025 hanggang ngayon, halos 80,000 teachers at school heads sa buong bansa ang napromote sa ilalim ng ECP system. Sa bilang na iyan, mahigit 1,500 guro ay mula rito mismo sa Caraga Region. Kasama na rito ang 71 guro na dating Teacher 1 ang posisyon, ang 22 sa kanila na longest-serving teachers ay sa wakas na promote na rin. Congratulations on your well-deserved promotion. Kaya't marami pa tayong ipatutupad na programa para sa kapakanan ng ating mga guro. Inaprubahan na ang halos 33,000 bagong teaching positions ngayon 2026. Binawasan natin ang mga administrative paperwork na matagal nang inaangal ng ating mga guro. Hindi lang mga posisyon ang dinagdag natin, pati na rin ang mga benepisyo. Kailangan ninyong magpahinga at i-enjoy ang inyong 30 araw na uninterrupted annual vacation service credits. Ibinigay na rin natin ang 10,000 piso na teaching allowance bilang dagdag suporta sa inyong pang-araw-araw na gastos. Makakaasa kayo na narito ang inyong gobyerno katuwang ninyo sa pag-angat ng inyong trabaho at ng inyong pamumuhay.
Special Assistant to the President, Anton Lagdameo Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has declared June as Judiciary Month in honor of the Supreme Court's 125th founding anniversary. Under Proclamation No. 1265, which amends an earlier proclamation issued on May 21st, The President underscored the judiciary's central role in upholding the rule of law and ensuring the fair and effective administration of justice. The month-long observance aims to deepen public awareness of the judiciary as a pillar of democratic governance by giving courts more time to mount activities that promote integrity, independence, accountability, and efficiency. The proclamation states that extending the celebration to an entire month will allow the judiciary greater flexibility in organizing programs and encourage wider participation from stakeholders while keeping the commemoration anchored on the Supreme Court's founding anniversary. President Marcos also directed all government agencies and instrumentalities to support and assist in the implementation of the proclamation. The Supreme Court was established on June 11, 1901 through Act No. 136 of the Philippine Commission, with Cayetano Arellano serving as its first Chief Justice. To mark its 125th year, the High Court has lined up year-round activities under the theme Supreme Court 125 Years of Tradition and Innovation. The commemoration opened with a special unbox session on January 14th at the historic Ayuntamiento de Manila, where the court once held sessions before World War II, followed by exhibits showcasing its history at the Ayuntamiento and the Supreme Court main lobby.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is confident that due process and the rule of law will prevail as authorities move to enforce the arrest warrant against Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro said, "The President expects all agencies to act in accordance with the Supreme Court's ruling, which affirmed that the International Criminal Court or ICC-related warrant may be implemented by law enforcement." Castro explained that unless the Chief Executive issues a new directive, the standing order is clear. The warrant must be carried out. Justice Acting Secretary Frederick Vida echoed this, saying President Marcos has instructed law enforcement to move swiftly and decisively. According to Vida, the ruling means all officers authorized to arrest Senator De La Rosa are now duty-bound to implement the warrant without delay. Authorities continue efforts to locate the senator following the Supreme Court's decision.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Philippine National Police or PNP Chief General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. is appealing to Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa to honor the badge and uniform he once wore, as police units continue operations to locate him. In a statement Sunday, Nartates said, "The PNP is handling the search with restraint and professionalism," stressing that the organization continues to hold deep institutional respect for the senator who once served as the country's top cop. The PNP remains in close coordination with other law enforcement agencies as they monitor the senator's possible movements following the issuance of an International Criminal Court or ICC arrest warrants for crimes against humanity linked to the previous administration's anti-drug campaign. Nartates urged the senator to draw from his lifelong service as a law enforcer and help ensure that the legal process proceeds with dignity. Earlier reports quoted officials describing the senator as presumed armed and dangerous, due to his law enforcement background and access to firearms. The PNP, however, emphasized that all ground operations must strictly follow protocols and uphold human rights standards. Nartates has ordered regional and local police units to exercise maximum restraint and avoid unnecessary escalation should they encounter the senator. De La Rosa, who served as PNP chief from 2016 to 2018, had been under Senate protective custody until he left the Senate premises around 2:30 in the morning on May 14th.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has approved Executive Order or EO number 116, raising the country's minimum access volume or MAV for pork imports in 2026 from 54,210 metric tons to 204,210 metric tons. The move aims to secure adequate supply and keep pork and processed meat products affordable for consumers. The measure is part of the administration's broader Unified Package for Livelihoods, Industry, Food and Transport or Uplift Agenda, its whole of government strategy under EO 110 to cushion the economic impact of the Middle East crisis and protect vulnerable sectors including food producers and consumers. Under EO 116, the President directed the MAV Management Committee to ensure fair allocation of the increased pork import volume, 30,000 metric tons for processors and 120,000 metric tons for the Food Terminal Incorporated or FTI and the Kadiwa ng Pangulo program. The order stresses the urgency of addressing the current supply gap in pork to stabilize prices and prevent further inflationary pressure. The EO also noted that the MAV Management Committee recommended increasing pork MAV by 150,000 metric tons annually for 2 years to ease supply constraints and ensure continued availability of pork and processed meat products nationwide. President Marcos instructed the committee to issue detailed implementation guidelines within 30 days. These guidelines must ensure that allocations for FTI and Kadiwa are efficiently utilized and aligned with the goals of the MAV Plus mechanism, boosting domestic supply, stabilizing market prices, and protecting consumer welfare. By authority of the President, Acting Executive Secretary Ralph Recto signed EO 116 on May 19th. The order takes effect immediately upon publication in the Official Gazette or a newspaper of general circulation.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, or DSUD, is welcoming a positive assessment from Colliers Philippines on the growing impact of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s expanded Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino or 4PH program on affordable housing and the stability of the country's property sector. DSUD Secretary Jose Ramon Aliling said, the agency remains committed to making decent and affordable housing more accessible to Filipino families by strengthening collaboration between the national government, local governments, and private developers. Aliling noted that recognition from industry stakeholders underscores how the expanded 4PH is not only revitalizing the housing sector, but also contributing to economic activity and improving the lives of low-income communities. He said the program demonstrates the benefits of a a whole of society approach, where government and the private sector work together to address long-standing housing needs. During the first quarter 2026 Philippine Property Market Briefing in Bonifacio Global City, Colliers Philippines Research Director Joey Roy Bondok highlighted that the National Housing Program is one of the key drivers behind the surge in activity in the affordable housing segment. Bondok said the government's prioritization of economic stimulating interventions, particularly through the expanded 4PH, has been doing wonders for the condominium market, especially for urban poor and low-income earners seeking viable housing options. He also emphasized the importance of strong coordination among the national government, LGUs, and private sector partners to sustain the industry's momentum and expand opportunities for Filipino families. Bondok noted that while some areas in Metro Manila still face high inventory of unsold units, the combined effect of government Keynesian policies, local government unit or LGU participation, and private sector innovation is pushing the market toward greater inclusivity and long-term resilience. Secretary Aliling assured that the Marcos Jr. administration will continue advancing long-term, inclusive housing solutions in line with the President's directive to uplift the living conditions of vulnerable and low-income communities.
Dateline Malacañang.
14 Filipino seafarers are safe following a collision between a container ship and an oil tanker along the One-Boni River in Nigeria on May 20th. The Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, confirmed that none of the 14 Filipino crew members aboard the MV Maersk Valparaiso, a Singapore-flagged container vessel, were injured after it struck the oil tanker Lady Martina. In a statement posted on its official Facebook page, the DMW said the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency immediately launched emergency response procedures, working with local pilots and port authorities to secure all crew members. The DMW also issued a strong reminder to maritime stakeholders, noting that this was the second maritime incident involving Filipino crew in just 2 days. The agency stressed the need for strict safety measures and heightened protection for vessels carrying Filipino seafarers. The department continues to monitor the condition of Filipino crew members worldwide through its real-time maritime tracking system.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, the Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW Secretary Hans Leeuwenhoek, is thanking the Dutch government for its strong support to Filipino crew members of the Hanta virus-affected MV Hondius. Speaking to reporters at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA Terminal 3 late Sunday, Kakdak said coordination with the Netherlands has been very strong, ensuring that the needs of the Filipino seafarers are fully addressed during their quarantine period. Kakdak personally visited the crew in the Netherlands following President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to strengthen labor diplomacy and ensure the welfare of overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs. Of the ship's 38 Filipino crew members, 21 are currently under quarantine and monitoring in Amsterdam, while the remaining crew underwent testing and quarantine upon their arrival in Rotterdam on May 18th. All have tested negative for hantavirus and remain asymptomatic. The seafarers are undergoing a 42-day quarantine in line with Department of Health protocols based on the virus's incubation period, which ranges from 4 to 42 days. Kakdak said the DMW continues to work closely with the Department of Foreign Affairs under a whole-of-government approach to safeguard the welfare of OFWs affected by global health and security incidents. Meanwhile, the DMW reported that as of May 24th, 10,129 OFWs, dependents, and stranded Filipinos have been repatriated amid tensions in the Middle East. The government has also extended financial and emergency assistance to 34,188 affected Filipinos following President Marcos's directive to prioritize their safety and well-being. In total, the DMW said the government has delivered 70,148 on-site services, including food, transport, shelter, medical care, and other forms of welfare support to OFWs and their families.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, authorities have recovered the bodies of 2 individuals who died in the collapse of a building under construction in Angeles City, Pampanga Province. The Bureau of Fire Protection, or BFP, confirmed that the first body, identified as a Malaysian national with disability, was found on the second floor of a nearby hotel that was hit by debris from the collapse. Around midnight, responders recovered a second body from the main collapse site. Search, rescue, and retrieval operations remain the top priority as investigators work to determine what caused the structure to give way. The BFP continues to coordinate with other agencies and the local government to ensure a safe and efficient response. Meanwhile, at least 24 workers trapped inside the 9-story building were successfully rescued on Sunday, according to the Angeles City Information Office. Central Luzon Police Chief Brigadier General Jess Mendez immediately proceeded to the area after reports of the collapse at around 3:45 in the morning along Chodoro Street in Barangay Balibago. He ordered police units to manage traffic, secure the perimeter, and support ongoing rescue efforts. Local police, firefighters, and emergency medical teams were among the first to respond. Angeles City Mayor Carmelo Lazatin II was on site to oversee operations, with Public Works Secretary Vince Dizon and Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA General Manager Undersecretary Nicolas Torre III, also arrived to personally monitor the situation. As of this report, the body of another victim was recovered this Monday morning by the BFP. With this, the number of fatalities has risen to 3. The cause of the collapse and the full extent of damage and casualties remains under investigation. Rescue and retrieval operations are still underway.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Bureau of Immigration reports the repatriation of 3 Filipinos who were allegedly trafficked through an illegal exit route and later exploited in Malaysia, an operation carried out in line with President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to intensify the fight against human trafficking and illegal migration. The victims arrived at Ninoy Aquino International Airport or NAIA Terminal 1 early morning of May 12 aboard an Air Asia flight from Kota Kinabalu. According to an initial debriefing by the BI's Immigration Protection and Border Enforcement Section, the women, aged between their 20s and 30s, left the Philippines separately in June 2025 through an illegal migration corridor in Palawan. They reportedly met only on the day of departure and were assisted by a male facilitator before boarding a small boat that took them to Malaysia via an unauthorized route. Upon arrival, another handler allegedly promised them hotel receptionist jobs with salaries of up to 100,000 pesos a month. Instead, they were taken to KTV bars where they were allegedly forced to accompany customers, drink alcohol, and rely solely on tips for income. BI Commissioner Joel Anthony Viado said, "The case highlights the continued operations of organized trafficking and illegal recruitment syndicates exploiting vulnerable Filipinos through backdoor exits." He warned that unauthorized sea routes remain a serious national security and human trafficking concern, noting that traffickers are constantly adapting their methods. Viado urged local authorities in Palawan to intensify monitoring of suspected illegal migration corridors and strengthen intelligence efforts against recruiters, transporters, and facilitators involved in backdoor trafficking. The 3 victims have been turned over to the Interagency Council Against Trafficking for assistance and further investigation into the individuals behind the scheme.
Dateline Malacañang.
The World Health Organization, or WHO, and several member states have rather recognized the Philippines as a global epicenter of nursing excellence, citing the country's major contribution to strengthening the global healthcare workforce. During the 79th World Health Assembly in Geneva, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus praised the Department of Health, or DOH, and Health Secretary Ted Herbosa for the Philippines' active leadership and cooperation on global health issues. Secretary Herbosa said the DOH continues to balance its support for countries in need of nurses while safeguarding the Philippines' own healthcare requirements. He stressed that solving the global nursing shortage goes beyond recruitment and must include knowledge sharing, training, and capacity building. Under ongoing initiatives, Filipino healthcare workers are helping other nations by sharing their clinical expertise, cultural adaptability, and high standards of patient care, qualities now widely recognized across the world. Tedros emphasized that viruses and diseases know no borders or politics, underscoring the need for strong international cooperation to prevent the spread of deadly health threats. The recognition of the Philippines' role in global health was highlighted during the World Health Assembly held from May 18 to 23 in Geneva, the WHO's annual decision-making gathering.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, 3 out of 4 Filipinos say they are ready to support the government in defending the country's territory, including the West Philippine Sea, or WPS. This is based on the latest Octa research Tugon ng Masa survey. The nationwide poll shows 76% of respondents expressing willingness to defend Philippine territory, while 7% disagreed and 17% remained undecided. Across regions, support was strongest in Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, and Palawan, or Mimaropa region at 93%, followed by Metro Manila at 83%. The lowest support was recorded in Central Visayas at 45%. The survey also found that the Davao region posted the highest disagreement rate at 34%. Octa noted that while public backing for defending national sovereignty is generally strong, certain regions and demographic groups, such as the Davao region, Central Visayas, older respondents, and those from Class E, show lower levels of commitment. The group said these sectors may require more targeted information efforts and policy engagement. The survey was commissioned by the Armed Forces of the Philippines and conducted from March 19 to 25 through face-to-face interviews with 1,200 respondents.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service can be heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. Radyo Pilipinas World Service is also live on audio streaming. Just download Evox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.